author of Create Health. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me on.
I'm so excited to have you. You're looking sharp. Did you get a haircut?
I did that you did.
Nice.
I'll just come out and say it.
Yes, looks good. You look good. Well, thank you so much for taking time today to jump on and talk to us a little bit about, you know, autoimmune disease and gut health. So why don't you introduce yourself and we'll jump into some questions.
Okay, sure. So yeah, like you got it right. Dr. Ben Benulis, author of the book Create Health, Reverse Autoimmune Disease Without Drugs or Side Effects. And I just realized I have a copy sitting in the other room, but I don't have one I can show off here. And yeah, I did done a lot of work around gut health. Had my own gut issues that started about 12, 13 years ago that really propelled me into having to do something about it because I was going to doctors and saying I had gut issues and basically getting the runaround of like your labs look normal, your scans look normal, like everything's fine. Just take these over the counter medications. Just take Pepto Bismol for the rest of your life. And then when I would ask them like, does that have anything to do with what I'm eating? They would be like, oh no, that has nothing to do with it. And that kind of made things not the math not add up in my head after a while. And that's when I started delving it into my own and started exploring, maybe if I did change what I ate, like maybe, just maybe, it would have an effect. And turns out, drum roll, it does. So it's been something I've been passionate about for a while.
Okay, great. So how long, like when did your health issues start? Like what was your diet like as like a child?
Um, my diet is, let's see. So these health issues started about maybe 27, 28, 29 years old. It's sort of in around there. And now I'm 41, just for frame of reference. And I think as a child, I mean, I was like on a standard American diet. My mom tried to be healthy and like didn't let me eat like a lot of processed food, didn't let me have cereal that had more than like 7 grams of sugar per serving. I don't know where that arbitrary cutoff came from. Uh, but things like that. So I was never like, I never really had any health problems. I was never overweight or anything like that. Like I think I ate more healthy relatively than other people, but and then once I got off on my own,
Right.
like living on my own in my 20s, well then just it was like a free for all of like let's just eat, drink 3 Mountain Dews in a day. Why not?
No. Oh, three Mountain Dew. Mountain Dews are like toxic.
No, I know it now, but I mean, I used to live on that stuff for like,
Yeah.
a decade.
Okay. So you're out on your own. You're kind of, I'm sure you're on a budget, you're a student, and just like give us like a rough like rundown of what you ate prior to healing your gut.
Um, it was a lot of like microwave foods, a lot of like, Chinese takeout, pizza, like Mountain Dew, energy drinks. Yeah, I mean,
Just a lot of
you
processed foods.
yeah, like pretty much,
Instant
like,
processed.
like they call it the window diet. Like it was either you saw it in the microwave window or you saw it came to you through the drive-through window. Like that's pretty much what I was eating.
I never heard that before. Okay, so now so how long on that diet before you started to see a change in your health? Like how long do you think it took?
How long did it take to damage me?
Yeah.
I would say about a decade. I would say like, okay, from, 18 when I left for college, till about 28 was like, I think like things were adding up sooner, but I just kind of ignored it. But I would
Right.
say like it took about 10 years for it to get to the point of like, oh, this is bad. I should do something about this. This isn't normal.
Right. So now you come to the conclusion, okay, this is not normal. Doctors aren't giving me the answers. I'm going to I'm going to investigate on my own.
Yeah.
What did you start to do? Did you eliminate the Mountain Dews and keep the other stuff? Like how did that happen?
Good question. So I really I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Like I'll be straight up with you. I had no plans. Like definitely didn't expect to be doing what I'm doing now. I didn't think it would lead to that. But I was just like looking for food that wouldn't make me feel like World War III was happening in my guts,
Okay.
basically. I mean, I would have like 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 pain after meals sometimes, like where I would literally have to like lie down clutching my sides for like an hour. Okay.
Yes.
So it had to get to that point for me to be like, maybe this isn't normal. And so my mentality was like, we said the window diet. So it was like, okay, well, I guess I got to make my own food, right? Like, I guess I got to like make stuff, which I didn't want to do,
Okay.
because I was red-blooded American dude in my 20s. Like that's chick stuff. That's older people stuff, whatever.
Yes.
And so I was just like, okay, well, I like to make things in the microwave because it's easy. You open the door, you put in the food, you close the door, you hit the button, a minute later you get your food. Well, so then I was like, well, I could do smoothies, right? Yeah, funny enough, got one right here.
Yes.
So you put the stuff in the blender, you close the lid of the blender, you hit the button, burn, and then food's ready in 30 seconds, right?
Yes.
So that was literally like my mentality. It was like, I'm lazy, I don't want to learn to cook, I can just throw fruits and vegetables in the blender and just drink it, and if that doesn't make my stomach hurt. And I heard fruits and vegetables was good for you. I think they told me that like the first day of kindergarten. So I was like, I think this might work. This is like my hodgepodge solution. Like I didn't read a book on nutrition and I just did that. And so I started just making smoothies on my own. And this was like 2010.
Okay.
And so like I started feeling better. And the what
So you just one day you were like, did you go through a withdrawal? Because I think a lot of time people get like the flu feeling when they start to take out toxic when you start working out really hard after a long time of not working out, I get like the workout flu where I'll feel like the toxins, it'll take you down for a little while. Do you feel, and I think that that's another deterrent for people when they do decide to like focus on gut health, they feel a little bit crappier before they get better. So did you find like you felt a little shitty before you felt better?
it was a big up and down roller coaster ride for a long period of time. Maybe 6 months ish. Like, I mean, I would do this, but then I would be like, okay, well, I had my fruits and vegetables, so now I'm gonna like go have my pizza, and then like eat that and like feel like hell again and regret it and be like, okay, no more of that. Then a week later,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, so but I think that it's something good to speak on because I think a lot of people get like so excited. They're going to buy all these supplements. They're going to, have like the perfect diet. And then they're like, whoa, I actually feel like a little bit crappy. And I think like a lot of people over supplement themselves as well. And I think that that overwhelms the body and like the immune system. So it's good for people to hear from your perspective that it was a little bit of like an up and down thing, like it wasn't just like one day you woke up, you made a smoothie and you felt like so amazing and you were off to the races. Like you had that back and forth. And I think that people need to hear that so they don't get discouraged because it's like, fall off the horse, get back up, get back on.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And for some people, what happens is that they fall off the horse and then their foot gets stuck in the stirrup and then they get dragged through the mud and then their head hits a rock and they're like, how did I end up with this like box of donuts empty next to me in my car?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
so yeah, I mean, was there detox? Yeah, we can get into that. Was there like, yo-yoing and like kind of waffling back and forth like in the beginning? For sure, a lot. Like, it's like some of the stories, just like, shutting down Chinese buffets. Like, I don't know if you guys want to hear this stuff. Uh,
Well, I think it makes you relatable. Well, on a side note, tell us what's in your smoothie.
okay, we got bananas, we got strawberries, and we got romaine lettuce here.
Okay, and do you just put water in there? You put spring water in?
Yep, yep. Just I use reverse osmosis water. Wish I could get spring
Okay.
reliably, but yeah.
Yes, I just listened to the man who created reverse osmosis. I watched The Skinny Confidential. I don't know if you've ever heard, but they had him on. He actually created Quinton. He's like really into like minerals and enzymes and stuff like that. But it was very interesting to hear him speak, the creator of reverse osmosis. So I feel like anytime I go to a restaurant in town and they have reverse osmosis water, I always thank them. And I always am like, this doesn't taste like tap water. Thank you. Okay, so you have reverse osmosis water in there. You have your lettuce and your strawberries and your banana, and that carries you through the day.
This is like one meal. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay. Do you eat any solid foods?
Oh, of course, you eat tons of solid food, but like it's just with lunch. Usually, I'm working, and it's just like it's easier to just do a smoothie. You know,
Okay.
I need to go somewhere, or I need to like, you know, work through my lunch break, or I want to like drink this and then take a walk on my lunch break. It just adds a lot of flexibility rather than having to sit down and like eat a meal.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I do have some questions. All right, so you've been on this journey for 12 years. So if people want 3 easy super fruits or veggies that they can incorporate into their diet that will assist their gut, what do you recommend? Like if they're not like a fruit and veggie person, like what is the best if it's just like a very curated list?
We'll say bananas, blueberries, and celery.
Celery. Do you know that they were out of celery last night when I went to Sprouts? Because I like to make celery juice. And I was like, where is the celery?
Celery mafia. Yeah.
Okay, so one more time. Blueberries, bananas, celery.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Now
honestly, all fruits and vegetables are great. That's just a answer I had to give to that question. But
So prior to you jumping on with me, I was sharing a little bit about my own story, and I was born with eczema. So for me, I lost my ovary when I was 14. So I really focused on uterine health, and I was eating a lot of avocados. And I noticed that over time, my addiction to sugar and all the avocados I was eating was really kind of like throwing off my gut health. So if you do have eczema or any sort of skin condition, do you also agree that staying away from nightshades is a good idea?
um, I think there are certain people who are nightshade sensitive, but not everybody. But I think it's worth trying eliminating it for a while and seeing if it has an effect.
So I find that eggplant and avocado are two super trigger and beans, but I'm okay with potatoes. So I feel like probably everyone should do their own sort of experimentation and see, because not all nightshades are bad. And tomatoes are a nightshade as well, right?
Yeah, bell peppers. Yeah.
Bell peppers, yes. Interesting. I had bell peppers the other day and I noticed a little spot creeping up. Okay, maybe I should take bell peppers. Okay. So let's continue on. So when you started your journey, when you really kind of like 6 months has gone by, you've got like a nice rhythm. What did you start to see change in your body and your experience in your skin?
I'm sure. So I had eczema pretty much all over my hands, and it would go up and down, and I didn't really understand what was causing it, but I like stress seemed to be a factor, but other than that I could figure it out. Well, a lot of it was food I was eating, right? So that cleared up pretty miraculously. Um, Digestion got way better. Energy really went through the roof. Like I went from like being chronically fatigued essentially to like, okay, let's sign up for a Tough Mudder race. So I really saw a big boost in energy, kind of more than I bargained for, which was cool. I had a lot of unexplained chronic muscle soreness pain that all that just vanished. And then my mental clarity got like really, really solid to where I was like working a corporate job at the time, and what used to just take me forever to do, I was being done for the day at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then I would just kind of like go for walks in the woods because I didn't have anything else left to do. So, so yeah, it was a pretty remarkable turnaround. Like I literally witnessed once I really got the diet dialed in a course of about six weeks, I just saw like a complete transformation. The other thing was like I'd always wanted to have abs. You know, I worked out a lot, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have abs. Well, that's cool. That was kind of wild. So I was like, I really saw my body like heal itself once provided the conditions to do so, like in a pretty, you know, discrete frame of time. So it was wild. It was really eye opening. That was like a lesson in how human physiology works and how health works and how, you know, medicine doesn't work. And yeah, it was like physically transformative, but like mentally, spiritually, emotionally transformative as well.
Sure. I feel it's like you get a second lease on life in a better, more functioning, like harmonious body.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Let's speak on seed oils.
Okay.
How horrendous are they for your gut?
Um, yeah, I mean, they're probably one of the worst things you can do. Seed oils, I think are the worst. I mean, I think any oil in general
Even
is
extra virgin olive oil?
yeah, you know. I mean, we can go into that. I hate to burst your bubble on that, but you have basically a refined food, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you take something like you know, canola or whatever, and it's like, okay, we're extracting out the oil, so we're getting all the nutrition out of it. We're left with just the oil, which is just the fat, which really doesn't have any nutritional value because it's like omega-6. So that's pro-inflammatory. But then guess what? You refined out all the vitamins and the minerals and the fiber and the carbohydrate and the phytonutrients and all this other stuff. But somehow that glyphosate still got in there,
Yeah.
right? So it's like you're putting like essentially concentrated pro-inflammatory fats along with concentrated, you know, gut destroying pesticide, and you're just like smothering the food in it, you know, and then do like, like, why does my stomach hurt? Oh, I don't get it, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was speaking earlier on how it's like a cumulative effect because I bought the ashwagandha pills a few weeks ago and I was really bummed out when I saw that they had palm oil in it. You know, a vitamin that should not have that stuff in it had palm oil in it. So, you know, do you suggest I really shop around the perimeter of the store? But what's a good sign that people can look out for that their body might be overloaded with a seed oil or, you know, what could they cook with instead?
Uh, sure. So here's the thing. Any oil is going to be a refined food. Okay, like you mentioned, extra virgin olive oil. Let me just ask you this as a thought experiment. How do you make extra virgin olive oil?
Well, I'm sure they press it and distill it, right?
Yes. So when you say press it, what's that process? Like, what do they do? How do olives become olive oil?
I would imagine it was some sort of like compression machine similar to how they like stomp a grape.
Sure. So they put the olives in this big machine and crunch, right? And then, you know, this juice shoots out called olive oil, and they put that in a bottle, and they're like, hey, check it out, good stuff, right? Um, just let me ask you as a thought experiment. What's left out? Like they crunch all the olives, and the oil comes out one end. What's left on the other end?
The seeds
The seeds, but
and the
like the
skin.
and the skin.
Yeah.
So
What else?
you've got the fiber, you've got
Okay.
you got the protein, you got the carbohydrate, you got the vitamins, except for a little bit of vitamin E, but pretty much all the other vitamins are thrown away. You've got the minerals are pretty much gone because most minerals aren't fat soluble. So you basically like chucked all the nutrition in the trash, and then you're left with just like the liquid fat called
Mm-hmm.
olive oil,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh, this is a health food. But really, it has no nutritional value to it. Uh,
Okay.
so I wouldn't recommend cooking with any oil because it's essentially calories. Just as like you wouldn't be like, well, what kind of sugar should I cook my food
Mm-hmm.
in? Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
refined food has no nutrition. Um, so it's the same thing. So I would recommend if you are going to cook food, to be just baking or steaming, and not
Okay.
frying anything in any kind of oil. I know that's a controversial opinion and probably like is a buzzkill for a lot of people, but I'm just here to speak.
Well, I think that it's interesting to hear kind of all different points of view when it comes to that. I don't share a vegan or a raw diet, but I think it's very interesting to know kind of like all different sides of it. Um, and I'm Italian, so I will be drinking olive oil till death. I do. I drink like a tablespoon of it every day, and I think it's just good for my skin, but we could fight on that another day. Um, but okay, so baking and steaming.
Yeah.
So that, okay. Now I'm going to ask you something that I'm sure a lot of my followers really, really want to know. What fruits and vegetables can you incorporate into your diet that are good for like fighting free radicals or preventing gray hair? I'm a big fan of wheatgrass juice for that, and like spirulina and blue green algae, but I don't know, maybe because I know a lot of people are busy and not everybody has like a ton of money or time to buy like extra supplements. So what is it that they can go to in the, organic produce or vegetable aisle or fruit aisle and grab that can help them a little bit?
So I'm going to give you an answer that you might not expect, might not like, but I'm just going to, because I can't answer this question at face value. And I agree with you. It's like, okay, they can't afford supplements. Like supplements are a refined, distilled, like way of taking something that's in nature and trying to like package it and make money on it. Like I don't really take any supplements. Okay. And so, occasionally maybe some vitamin D, maybe some B12, maybe some ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is really just like a dehydrated root. It's a vegetable essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I agree with you. Yeah, it's like what can they get, organic produce wise? And here's the answer is that like all fruits and vegetables are health promoting, right? So I would say stick with what's in season and stick with what you like the taste of. Like don't go buy blackberries if you don't like the taste of blackberries just because you heard that it was high in antioxidants. Waste of time, you know.
Okay.
Get what you like and what's in season. So right now it's January, so citrus is popping off right now, and like if you're paying for lemons and you live in Arizona, what are you doing? Even trying? Like just go walk around the block, you'll find some.
We're going to fight. I can't find them. I want to ask you a quick question. Grapefruit tends to have a negative reaction to traditional medicine,
Yeah.
right? Like a Western. Why is that?
So grape. That's interesting. So Western medicine is based around like interfering with different bodily functions, right? And so one of the things is like clotting, right? Like you're eating all this food that's tearing up the insides of your arteries. So your body's trying to clot to like repair the arteries, but then these clots build up and they turn to blockages and then you have a heart attack, right? So they give you medicine to stop it from clotting, prevent the clotting. They're called anticoagulants. They're also called blood thinners colloquially. And so it's like, okay, well, let your body continue to tear up its own arteries as long as things don't clog up. Like somehow you'll be okay. That's kind of the strategy.
Okay.
Well, grapefruit is actually really good at helping your body clot, which is something it's supposed to do. like, but the medical model is like, let's turn off bodily functions and interfere with different things. Like just interfere with symptoms and not treat the root cause, and somehow things will get better, right? So yeah, anything that's healthy is gonna, excuse my language, fuck up what these medicines are trying to do.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, because it's so weird how something literally grown from the earth, can have a negative impact on a Western medicine. And you wonder why, because Western medicine isn't really built to get to the root of the issue and heal it. It's built to make lifelong customers out of all of us.
Yeah, we could say that, or we could just say like it's essentially like symptom suppression as opposed to like health creation. And so it becomes just a forever like game of whack-a-mole, trying to whack these different symptoms and never really like looking at the overall picture.
Yes. Yes. So you've broken out of the matrix, you've healed your gut. When did you decide to become a doctor?
I was probably about like 2 years into it, maybe a year and a half into it. I was just sort of like, I was working this engineering job and I was just really like getting more and more disenchanted with it. Like the more that I like healed the physical, like the mental, spiritual, emotional started to like wake up and be like, this shit sucks.
Yeah.
Like jockeying a spreadsheet so that we can sell more, microchips to, Panasonic in Japan. Like, I don't care. Um, and so, and then also I was just like, it was not challenging anymore. Like I said, I was finishing the day like 2, 3 o'clock. And then I hit age 30, and then I went through a divorce, and I was just like really forced to like reevaluate like what the heck I was doing with my life. And, and, I was like, trying to figure out like, you ask that question, like, what am I passionate about? And you're just like, you're thinking about this and it's like blatantly obvious to everybody else, but you're like, I don't know. Meanwhile, I've become like ultra passionate about health. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I could, like, how would I do that? Like, how would I do that as a career? Like, I don't even know. And so I just started like just kicking around ideas, and I don't know. I was just like on a walk in the woods one day, and I was like, oh, I could go back to school and be a doctor. And I was like, well, I don't really want to learn drugs and surgery and have to learn all that crap just to go and not use it. So I don't think I'm going to do medical school. Like, maybe I'll do naturopath. And then I looked it up, and it was like, oh, you can't be a naturopath in Texas where I was living at the time. It's not licensed. I was like, oh, I'm kind of hosed. I guess I could do chiropractor. So that's what I did. In full intention of staying in Texas, never, left, never came back. And now the irony is I ended up in Arizona where like naturopaths have this great scope of practice and they can pretty much do whatever they want and say they cure cancer and no one bats an eye. Um, uh,
Well,
so that was kind of the path. That was like
no charlatans.
I
We
realized
don't want
like
any charlatans here, though. But yes, go on.
yeah, I realized like I'd seen all these. I went to so many doctors, like so many doctors when I was going through my health challenges that were all just like fumbling the football, like pretty poorly. And, I had a lot of faith in the medical system. I really thought I was going to just show up with problems A, B, and C, and then they give me drugs X, Y, and Z, and, like, problem solved, right? And come to find out, basically got a master's class in how that doesn't work. And so I just thought, like, man, these guys, like, man, they're so, like, just so uninformed, like, just ignorant of how things really work. Because, like I said, I'd had that experience of watching my body, like, literally transform in front of my face.
Yeah.
Like, I probably could do a better job than these guys. Like, I don't think I'm like particularly that smart. Like, I'm pretty smart, but I'm not like, I didn't think I was doctor level smart. But then I was like, I saw how it kind of like it all executed and played out in real life, and I was like, oh yeah, I got a leg up. I can do better than this. And so that was the genesis of it.
Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting because I think I come from an area where there are a lot of like nurses and they really didn't know very much when I asked them a health question, you know, whether it be about eczema or skin or gut or anything like that. I don't know, just take a pill. I don't know. Why are you asking me? I didn't learn that. I'm like, oh my God, no. And we're relying on you. But there are a lot of people, I hope, in the medical profession who are kind of opening their own eyes to, like, I feel like there is a place in the world for Western medicine. There is a place in the world for Eastern medicine. And I think it's like cops and firemen, they just don't get along. And it's like, if you guys could just kind of respect that each of you serve a purpose and are valuable, then there would be a lot more harmony and a lot less like, oh, that's quackery or whatever. Now, when you got into chiropractic work, I'm going to let you go in a few minutes. I know you're very busy.
Oh, we got time.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Do you find that in your chiropractic practice that you are able to influence gut health through an adjustment? Because I know that you don't do a traditional adjustment. Do you want to speak on that?
Um, sure. I think in some ways yes, and in some ways no. Because here's the thing: if people are still like, you know, just drinking seed oils and all these unhealthy foods, like I can't undo that,
Right.
right? So I think from like a chemical physiological standpoint, um, like the diet's super important. Like you can't just like get adjusted and keep eating crap and think your gut's gonna heal. But on the other hand, there definitely is like an element that it can help with like gut motility
Okay.
and just that basically like the spine is the housing point like of the nervous system, right? It houses the information superhighway from your brain to your body. So if there's interference in that, it can clear it out, right? And so people have like nerve interference to their gut, right? Because they've got a lot of trauma. And so if that's not firing correctly, if the brain can't properly control the gut because there's like tension and bound energy somewhere in the nervous system, well then yeah, you can eat a perfect diet and you'll still have issues, right? So I think that it can help in that respect of like getting proper nerve flow to the gut, which can make a huge difference, especially like if you're dealing with a lot of like constipation, diarrhea, like these motility issues that show up. I think it can help with that for sure.
Yes, I agree. That's so interesting that our spine, it's like the superhighway of, that's very interesting. Our body, I don't think people really understand um, the intricacies of our bodies, you know, and how really
It's
magical they are.
it's pretty ridiculous. Like take like a gross anatomy class where you actually have to do like cadaver dissection and all this stuff, and just like really study anatomy, and like you realize that it's just complex, far beyond our comprehension. Even in 2023, it's like just the things that it does and how it does it. Like there's so many mysteries we know way less than we know.
Yes,
Um, so yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome. And so this idea that we can like distill it down into like, oh, we just cut this out of you here, we just interfere with this process over you here, and it's like it doesn't work that way. Like you think you're gonna just like stop the mosquito problem by like undamming the river, but then it floods into this other area, and then now these new animals come in and got their pests, and like it's a whole ecosystem, and you can't just like break one or two things and think you fixed the whole thing. It just doesn't work
right.
that way.
I know there's a lot of like gallbladders being removed, and it's like, well, I know that modern science doesn't know what the gallbladder does, but I'm pretty sure it's an important part of our anatomy. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be in our body.
No, the guys
So
do know what it does, and they still cut it out.
I have to say, I'm so thankful they almost removed my adenoids when I was younger because I had really bad chronic ear infections. Once I was out on my own and kind of like really focused on my diet and everything like that, all that stuff went away. And I'm so thankful that I still have my adenoids in my head because they probably process pollution and dust and all of that stuff. And they're a filtration system, right?
They're
Sort
part
of.
of the system. I mean, like whether you are like a creationist who believe the world was created in 7 days and God created man in his image, or you're an evolutionist and you believe it took us 3.5 billion years to get here. Either
Either
way,
way, it's magic.
yeah, either way, it's far more complex than you can imagine. So if you think there are just like extraneous parts of you that are just like, oh, we don't need that, it's like we'll just cut it out, right? Now, granted, you have some duplicity, right? Like you said, you lost an ovary. Well, the good thing you got a backup one,
That's right.
you know.
Yes.
The idea that it's just like, oh, this gallbladder thing, yeah, whatever, like appendix, it's like Uncle Joey and Full House, cut it out, guys.
Right,
Like,
right. Don't do that. No cutting it
yeah,
out.
yeah. I mean, as a last resort, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, sure, but yeah, it's like it's just like it's like if your car isn't working right and the mechanic's like, yeah, you know what, like this fuel injector is just not working right. We're just gonna get rid of this thing, like, and hopefully the rest of the car runs well. Like it doesn't work that way.
It does not work that that way. I know. Well, look, Dr. Ben, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Tell everybody where they can get your book, where they can visit you, and anything that you have coming up that you want to share.
Sure. So, let's see. They can find me just by my name, Dr. Benjamin Benulis, on most social media platforms, although I'm usually like shadow banned and, maybe I'm a little hard to look for, but you find
Same, especially after this conversation, we're both shadow banned.
me. I don't think we use too many bad words.
Okay.
The bots might not get us. My book can be found at createhealthbook.com. And then upcoming events, let's see. I don't have anything. I do have a homeless outreach that's coming up on Saturday, the 28th,
Okay.
down in Phoenix. So if anybody wants to join in on that, send me a direct message. It'll be a lot of fun.
And
Um,
who are you looking for that event? Because I know that I came and I assisted you in doing the haircuts for the homeless. What would people be doing for that event? What are you looking for?
um, Mainly looking for people to distribute like food, clothing, toiletries. Also, like donations of food, clothing, and toiletries are great. We are like haircuts is always like the number one thing that when they find out that's going down, we just get mobbed. Um, Any sort of like healers that want to do like energy work, acupuncture, massage, whatever. That's awesome. Not
And they can
expecting.
just direct message you and
Yeah,
you'll help give them the information for that.
and then we do want to have what's called a listening booth, which is basically like we just have you have a sign set up that says "Tell me your story," and you just let these people talk because a lot of them are really like they're just ignored, and they're just marginalized and nobody listens to them, and just for them to be able to just like get their story out is really therapeutic for them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It was such an honor to be able to do that with you on Thanksgiving. It really, it's very, very sad, but at the same time, I felt like if I could do a little bit to help, it was nice for me to be able to do that.
Yeah, we had a lady who was literally the last one, just literally doing buzz cuts. Like it was like, and that was like a lot of these people would just way rather have a buzz cut than be all shaggy. So it was,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ben. You're the man. I appreciate you coming on here and taking the time to speak to, my followers and everything like that. I think you shared a lot of really important and helpful information. So thank you so much. And I will hopefully have you back on soon.
Yeah, please do. Just reach out anytime and yeah, save this so I can put it on YouTube and all that stuff.
Absolutely. All right, Dr. Ben, have a great week.
All right.
I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.